So I find it funny, last year, I wouldn't say your better half, but your other half, one of the three dudes.
Yes.
That dude and I covered Hocus Pocus 2 last year. And now you and I are talking about this year. And I think that this is I think for me, this is in that same conversation as of Hocus Pocus. As this is not necessarily a quote, good movie, unquote, because I don't know how good of a movie Hocus Pocus really is if we're talking objectively. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie. Subjectively, I enjoy it unironically. I'm not one of those dudes who's been browbeaten into liking it by their significant other. I think it actually has some fun moments.
It's fun. That's key. That is the key.
Yeah, it's fun. And Bette Midler, if you can get past kind of how annoying the role is, very annoying.
Answer.
Yeah. If you can get past that, I think it's a fun movie that you can have some fun with. And I would say the exact same thing here. You and I like Ernest P. Worrell quite a bit, I think, if our pre-podcast conversation is to be referenced here now on the podcast. But I would wager a guess that a lot of people probably find know what I mean, Vern, Ernest P. Worrell character quite annoying. And I think they have just as much of an opinion and a right to feel that way as I do, liking Ernest unironically.
Yeah. Oh, no, I adore him. Once again, childhood hero. That is my Jim Varney.
But you know what I mean? This is not something that's quote, easy to like for everybody. It's not going to resonate with everybody because it's a certain kind of character for a certain group of people. I would say that this character is for children, which is weird. And we can talk about the optics of that. And on this episode of the Kulturecast, we will. I am still your host, Chris Stachiw, much to the chagrin of many. And I'm joined by my good friend all the way from, I guess, Scary Stories We Tell. Technically, your voice can be heard in the ad for that show. And you and I do a fair more there than we have here. That's okay. We're on the Kulturecast right now, and I'm joined by my good friend, Maggie.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Modern day Jim Varney, Maggie the Odd.
Oh, I wish. I am so invested, just waiting.
Yeah. On this episode of the Kulturecast, this is a Horrortober episode. This is not a bonus episode. We are going to be talking about a film that, again, you may have strong opinions about. You may not even like it. You may wonder why the fuck we're talking about. Well, it's because we're 230-somethings, folks, and we're talking about a movie from the early 90s. We're talking about 1991's Ernest Scared Stupid.
From Touchstone Pictures, dangerous demons are on the loose, but Ernest is on their trail. He's doing whatever it takes.
Your shoes untied.
To save the world from slime. Ernest Scared Stupid, rated PG. Starts Friday, October 11th at a theater near you. From Touchstone Pictures, monstrous trolls have sprung to life.
I sure hope you're from Keebler.
And now Ernest P. Worrell is springing into action. He'll try anything.
I know Tai Chi, Kung Fu, Chow Mein,
and everything.
Your shoes untied.
To save the day.
It's showtime.
It's Ernest P. Worrell in a brand new movie. Ernest Scared Stupid.
How about a bumper sandwich, booger lips? Know what I mean?
Rated PG.
Starts Friday at a theater near you.
The film is directed by, written by, produced by John Cherry, who's part of Cherry and Cardin, which is a marketing company that helped create and market the Ernest character to over 900 commercials, which I'm sure that sucked, but not for the reason. I mean, sucked, but not, I would think. And we'll have conversations about that, given this is the first time we've talked about Ernest on the show.
No, which is so weird.
I know. It is kind of weird.
Happy and surprised that you didn't cover this because I would have been pissed if I missed an Ernest movie.
What's the crazy thing is at one point, I think we talked about doing it, or maybe we did back in the Culture Shock days, we did a written review. But I mean, Ernest is one of those things where, we've never covered it on a singular episode of the show, which is surprising because for me, and I think you kind of already alluded to it, this is a movie that I understand why people don't like it, but I like it. So I'll kick it to you, Maggie, because you picked this movie. Why are we talking about this movie? Are you like me and saw it as a 90s kid and that's why we're here? Is there some other ulterior motive that I don't know about? I'm waiting to hear the answer.
For my propaganda for Jim Varney Resurrection, agreed. No, so every single Halloween, I have to watch this movie. So I grew up with it. And to this day, including this coming Friday, I will be going to my parents' house to watch it with Jess, which will be a hoot and a holler. But It's one of those movies where if I don't watch it during Halloween, I feel like I am an empty husk of a human, and I'll watch it in the middle of summer, like twice. But
fair.
I grew up with Jim Varney movies. It's one of those, like, my childhood entertainment bracket. It's just like Paul Rubens with Pee-wee Herman. It's just those wacky goofball characters that have, like, changed my life for whatever, to whatever degree, because it's just fun having it rattle in my brain. But I love Jim Varney. This is one of my favorite of his movies. And not to mention, there is a weird tie-in to another movie that I absolutely adore, Killer Clowns.
Right. That's right. Oh, yeah. That is a weird thing.
I love it.
So the story is that the creatures in this movie that show up at the end of the movie are the repainted clown faces, right?
Yeah, the trolls in the end of this, a lot of them were repurposed as killer clowns when that movie came in, because obviously it's very expensive to make these props. And to be fair, love or hate this movie, the troll designs are amazing. I will stand by that. All of the weird transformation scene was very well done. And a lot of these, like, masks of trolls really scared the hell out of me as a kid. And so it's really cool to know that one of the horror movies that made me go out to a rental place and, like, pick up a bunch of horror movies and ingest it and love the B-movie genre in general was connected to one of my childhood favorite movies. So I just like that fact. It's so fun.
Yeah. I like yourself saw this as like a kid. This was a movie that, like, I didn't grow up, but Ernest is definitely a character that I have grown to love as an adult. And my wife has been a fan of Ernest since she was a kid, and she watched the Ernest movie, so she has that experience that you. But I probably saw this in high school or college, maybe, and again probably in college. I don't remember the first time I saw it, but it is. You mentioned Paul Rubens, and I think Paul Rubens is a comparison. I think people would bristle at that comparison, because the perceived quality of Ernest went downhill. But I think the quality of Ernest went downhill after this movie. And this is one of 4 Disney movies that are released by Disney with Ernest in them, which does add to the quality. Say what you will about The House of the Mouse, but they had a track record in the late 80s and early 90s for some pretty good movies and some pretty good live actions. And This is one of them. And yes, this is not the best movie ever made, but you know what? It doesn't have to be. It just has to be a memorable Halloween movie. Because here's the thing. I'm going to go out and say this also. It is going to be controversial, especially on this. In October, I'm not really interested in watching horror movies as much as I am watching Halloween movies. Because I can watch horror movies at any point of the year. And there are horror movies that are set at Halloween. There is one called Halloween, in fact. But
when did this happen?
Many times over the last 40 years, unfortunately, as opposed to just once.
Sleeping on that. Boy, I hope it's not one of my favorite directors that was behind that.
Right. But that's the thing. It's like there aren't, in my opinion, enough Halloween movies, not necessarily horror movies set at Halloween, just Halloween movies. And this is a Halloween movie. This is in the conversation for one of the better Halloween movies, just like Hocus Pocus is. Because again, it's scary enough without being outright horror. And I think, again, like you mentioned with the effects are done well enough that any adult watching this would probably be able to enjoy it just for the quality of the movie. I mean, look, here's the problem. Okay, let's just get out in front of it before we don't acknowledge it at all. Ernest P. Worrell is a man who spends plenty of his time with children. There's no way around it. He is meant to simpleton character. Like, I can never figure that out. Like,
he's the village idiot. He's the village idiot.
But he's secretly a genius, right? Right? Like, that's the thing. Like, the village idiot, but the one who's, like, secretly a genius.
And a heart of gold. So he'll stick his neck out for anybody who's been nice to him. And even sometimes in cases, the bad guys too.
Right. And that's the thing about the Ernest character is, like, I understand and appreciate and, am able to watch now on YouTube all of these ads for everything, because Ernest was selling everything in the late 80s, early 90s. Like, he did like 900 commercials as this character. And look, that must have sucked, but also imagine the amount of money you're making as just this, like, kind of lark of a character that becomes this thing that people really resonate with, to the point where There are movies. Like, tell me another movie with a ad icon, like a advertising icon who was in 900 advertisements. They have never made an M&M's movie like this. They've never made, the Where's the Beef movie. But yet we have Ernest, a character that started as an advertising campaign.
On public access, in most cases, like super underground stuff, really small local TV spots. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
But the thing is, I can completely understand why someone would be aghast at this character, because he is for a certain group of people, and if you're not into it, he is beyond obnoxious.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It goes for a lot of the standby characters in Ernest movies, where it's just big personalities, and you just kind of have to be along with that type of energy. And it is also kind of a vehicle for one-liners. So I understand why the flow of the movie might be one of those points that people kind of switch their brains off to, because you're being assaulted by jokes and one-liners, and it's stupid humor. But I think that's part of the charm, because it is approachable from age ranges. Because, yeah, these movies were geared toward kids, but just the weird references and sentences, like my family and I quote it all year round just because it's so preposterous. I think it's part of the fun. But
it's a movie that and you mentioned this at the top, like the idea of like this being like fun movies can replace like how bad a movie is. If you can have fun. And I think that I have a fair amount of fun with this movie because, look, it starts and stops with Jim Varney. And that's the thing. Like, if you don't like his character, you can't get down with how good it is. But if you can get around how kind of bizarre an idea and conceit a simple man who has simple tastes, and his name is Ernest, and he lives in this town of Briarville, Missouri, and everybody knows him, and everybody thinks that this guy's a ding-dong, and he's never proven himself to be anything else other than the fact that he's like invented shit, and he keeps saving people, and he saves the town. But like, again, like, I get the character not resonating, but for me, like, Jim Varney is having the time of his life as this character, and he is having the time of his life in this movie. Like,
it fits him so well. He knows how to play it, and it's incredible that like you also have his dog Rimshot. It's all of this stuff that in a lot of children's movies before don't necessarily resonate as well. Because like the whole guy and dog combo, it can be super stilted, but this it seems really organic, and Jim Varney is really good about either playing up to a crowd or by himself running through a scene. It's cool seeing both sides.
Well, and I mean, Jim Varney, for those that do not know, was a very close friend of Robin Williams, another well-known improvisational actor, improvisational comedian. And like Jim Varney has like, if I were to pin anything on Jim Varney, it's this weird, crazy energy, like unbridled energy. Like there's nothing anyone seemingly can do to slow down this character and how wild he is. And he's just constantly turned up to 11. And that's the thing I think of with Ernest is like, he's just a lot, but that comes from Jim Varney's characterization of him. And it's the smart way to play it because again, like by just being way too much, you are forcing the audience to focus on you and not how kind of mediocre the movie's plot. And I mean, again, like most of the movie, like the kid actors, like the plot of the movie, more or less like similar to Hocus Pocus and other like children's Halloween horror movies. But because Ernest and Jim Varney are so compelling, I would watch anything in between his performances in this movie just to get to those moments where we see him doing his thing.
Exactly. And I think it was good payoff. And honestly, with this movie, what I will say is if Jim Varney isn't your cup of tea, there is also a wonderful performance by the Eartha Kitt.
Yeah.
Which is just a treat to see her in this role of this crazy old lady that has a tie-in to the lore of the actual story of the movie. Oh, I love it. Old Lady Hatfield is the best.
Well, and that's the thing. So we kind of haven't mentioned what the plot is, but again, similarly to Hocus Pocus, an ancient evil in the form of a troll in this movie is imprisoned underneath a tree by Ernest's great grandfather, Phineas P. Worrell. And again, fucking like if you can't see how good of an actor Jim Varney is just at the beginning of this movie, like completely disappears into that like weirdo colonial character with that fucking facial hair that makes him look so bizarre.
Cops for days.
I know. And also, like, you tend to forget how big of a dude Jim Varney is when he's playing Ernest, but he's like a huge guy. Like, he's tall and lank. Yeah. So Trantor the troll gets trapped under the tree. Alliteration aside, essentially similar to Hocus Pocus, with ancient evil is brought back. In this movie, Ernest's great-great-great-grandfather imprisons him, and part of the prophecy is Ernest's, your bloodline will set me free one day. So, okay, there you go. Ernest is going to do something stupid by accident, and he does. He meets some kids. They hang out. They're being bullied. He builds them a treehouse. Where? In the tree that Trantor is under. Trantor is freed. I call unto thee, Trantor.
What are the chances of that happening?
Right. And that's like, what kid gets that joke, right? Like, it's not like there's so much of this. Like, I don't know why adults didn't find this funnier, because there's not a lot for kids here.
I love it.
Yeah. So Trantor has to kidnap 4 children. Or is it 4 or 5?
I believe we got 5.
Okay. So he has to kidnap 5 kids to bring him and his troll brethren back to life. And so that's the entire story is Ernest has to stop Trantor the troll from kidnapping the children of Briarville, Missouri. So it's like I said, similar to Hocus Pocus. Like the reasons for the villain doing what they're doing is to try and get as much power as they can, and it involves children. And in Hocus Pocus, we're gonna eat all the kids. And in this, I guess we're going to eat all the kids, too.
We're going to turn them into wooden dolls. On the props department, once again, I cannot exonerate you enough. They did a bang-up job between the troll outfits, the Brussels sprouts that grow out of the fucking tree that are, like, so gross and oozy, and then the little carvings of the kids. Some of them were very stilted for the transformation, but hey, I'm willing to forgive that due to creativity points. It's not just a standard curse or zombies or save the town. It's kind of all of them, but with a different light to it. Not many people touch on trolls for Halloween. I think they're just as terrifying. I'm glad that they went that route.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like trolls are not we don't have, we have a troll movie. I think it's one of the most famous bad horror movies, Troll 2. They're eating her and then they're going to eat
goblins, though.
I know. I know. That's the crazy thing. Because obviously the name of the town in the movie is Nilbog, which is goblin backward. I know. It's a movie called Trolls with no trolls, goblins. I get it. And like the only other troll thing I can think of is, I guess, that Swedish film Troll Hunter. It's like a found footage troll movie. But yeah, trolls they're not like witches, they're not like zombies, they're not like vampires. Like they're and I understand why. They're a uphill battle for making a costume. Because you said it pretty well already. Like the effects in this movie are nothing to sneeze at. Frankly, the effects in this movie are better than most actual horror movies. Like the creature design is really gross and really well done. And like, I wouldn't have praise for some movies from the mid-90s that are actual horror movies for their creature design the way I'm praising this movie's creature design.
Especially for a movie geared toward kids. Like, they went far. I love a good creature feature, and the fact that this one holds up. In fact, I think it's actually really cool that the wonderful intro that they do to this movie that is nothing but a montage of creature features from the black and white era of film is kind of hyping you up for that kind of mentality to accept like this double-nosed troll or this giant troll that's coughing up bullets. It's kind of a good free-for-all. And I like that they kind of foreshadow that when the treehouse is under attack from the bullies. Because, ultimately, what it boils down to is one of the things that gets rid of the trolls is authentic Hungarian miak. And so
I like how you just mentioned that, like, authentic Hungarian miak.
Oh my gosh, milk. So it's a battle where the weapon is milk. And you're thinking, well, okay, that doesn't sound terribly exciting. And yet, you also have a treehouse full of all of these like flying machines, these launchers, and it's just kind of a good free-for-all. Not only do you get the creature feature, but you get like fun weaponry in the form of milk. So it's not even like hyping up guns or whatever, which a lot of, kid movies try to equate, whether it's like Nerf guns or we do this. It's actually kind of
squirt guns.
A nice potpourri. Yeah, they do have squirt guns, but man, all of the weirdo ones like the mailbox that just drops milk or the powdered milk in the fan. It's very creative. And that's where I give the most points to in this movie, aside for Jim Varney's performance as being Jim Varney, is just the sheer creativity in every aspect of it, between the backstory, between how the kids are turned to the grand finale when the parents don't know what to do and the kids get to step in. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's again, like, it's a movie that when I went and read the reviews at the time, like, I feel like they didn't watch the movie. They just passed it off immediately because it's an Ernest movie. And again, I get that if you can't get your head around this performance that he's doing, which again, I understand not liking it. It's not something that's easy to like in a way. It's just like, I don't know how kids today would feel about a character like Ernest. Like there's nothing right now that is even comparable to that, like a part of the zeitgeist the way Ernest was. Like if you're being hired to go around the country to do ads, you must have really made an impression. And like, that's the thing. Like, again, like Jim Varney is not given the credit that he deserves for being this kind of like, again, actor who was given kind of a thankless role and did more with it than most people would have. Like, again, I don't know. I don't know, again, because they talk about it and stuff that I've read, like, he passed away in 2000 at the age of 50, which like, what would he be doing now? Like, would he be doing more dramatic roles? That's what he was talking about. And that's what they were alluding to. And that's what he wanted to do, was be taken more seriously and walk away from and distance himself from the Ernest character. Because again, if you play this character, then also people are going to assume you have no acting ability whatsoever. This is just like a fucking joke, which is not the case. Again, Jim Varney is a classically trained actor.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And seeing clips of him like reading Shakespeare is actually quite... It takes you back because it's like, I didn't realize this was the same guy. I actually found it really...
Yeah, he has and again, like some people might even forget that he was the voice of Slinky Dog in the first two Toy Story movies.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he has a weird amount of range for someone who, again, wasn't given a lot of range to play with. Like, again, I'm not saying the Ernest character is one note, but he kind of is one note. Like, he is one note, but that one note can be played at so many different, like, it's a little louder, it's a little quieter. Like, you can play that note a bunch of different ways, thankfully. And the way he interacts with the people of the movie, it's more about how big their personality is and how big his personality is in the back and forth, especially with Eartha Kitt, which I think all the interactions between the two of them are fucking like a fever dream. Like, it's insane. Like, here's Jim Varney and Eartha Kitt. What the fuck? Like, it's so strange. But it works.
Always. I know. I always think of the scene where she's using a big can opener to get him out of a barrel. And I don't know why. It is just so well played because he's reading through the Book of Lore to try and figure out how to defeat it. And of course, she's already figured out the puzzle and is playing a completely different side of the story where she already knows the answer and he's trying to figure it out and thinks he knows it. But it's all surrounded by this goofy, preposterous thing. And yeah, she absolutely brought like 100% to the performance as well, which is wonderful to see. It just is.
Honestly, the thing that surprises me the most about this movie, and maybe, again, this is just like a symptom of it being an Ernest movie, I don't recognize essentially anyone else in this movie.
I know. It seems like just kind of people who were around for the roles, and that's about it. Either they went on to do small roles in other, like, just kind of like background character type of situations. Not all of them were bad. Some of them were, but not all of them were bad. They still were good. But yeah, I don't necessarily think anybody went to do like big bigs. So
yeah, and in Ernest Goes to Camp, I mean, John Vernon is in that movie, who's, I mean, it's pretty big actor. I know it's kind of strange. Like, I always feel like this was like a weird like level of actor that was just being trotted out to be in these kinds of movies, which is like, these actors are just working in like other small budget things. Because that's the thing, again, like this kind of movie, it is kind of an advertisement, but for what, I'm not sure. Just the Ernest character, like,
yeah, just Ernest. Honestly, I think it's one of those where these movies tend to fall in the cracks where it's like they were assuming that they were just making a holiday film. It's just like, you know, Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Scared Stupid, where not a lot of the budget is going toward bringing in big names because they're assuming it's just going to be a quick and easy cash grab and then it'll just kind of move on and that's it. But this one was actually played up really well. So I think it was kind of an underestimation between the script and how it played out. Everybody brought their all in this one. So it feels like a really well done holiday movie, but it still falls in that bracket. I wonder if that is the reason why there aren't bigger people in it. But I'm astounded that they got Eartha Kitt in. Okay, cool. I'm happy.
right. Like that's the weirdest thing is like Jim Varney is one thing, but Eartha Kitt being in this movie and committing to it so like hardcore, like again, like it's just that decision. I mean, again, that I applaud the decision because I think the movie is better for it. And I don't. It's not that I don't think Ernest couldn't carry the movie on his own, but
it just makes it a lot more polished, I guess.
It makes me less. Well, like that's the thing. Like I don't remember any of the other Ernest other than the Ernest Goes to Camp. Like I know that at some point the Ernest movies are not good. Like objectively
100.
not good. I think it's after this one. I have not seen Ernest Goes to Africa. It is nowhere near the top of my list. Yeah, I can only imagine.
Do not. No, Ernest Goes to Jail is the other one that I'll stand by wholeheartedly. Ernest Goes to Christmas I watched during the Christmas time. It's not my favorite Christmas movie, but it's still one that I like to watch.
Well, there are a lot more Christmas movies than there are Halloween movies, so.
I know. It's such a shame. And then Ernest Goes to Camp, I remember. My parents won't let me live it down that I was crying because Ernest got bullied. So they always pointed out the exact scene. Oh, Maggie, you crying?
I can't.
Thank you.
I can't believe you haven't mentioned that you've done it, so I can't believe you've never dressed up as Ernest for Halloween.
I know. I do need to. Like I think it's one of those where I'll get like way too perfectionist on.
If you search Ernest P. Worrell costume on Amazon, which I did, all you got to do, there's like a vest. It's like $20 and a hat for like $7.
I know.
And there you're done. Like
shirt.
Yeah.
Denim vest.
Yeah. That khaki hat. Like there you go. Oh, what a main burn. Like, and that's the other thing. Like the character of Ernest, I guess, is meant to be like a redneck as well, right?
Yeah, that was God.
Like I never pegged him as a redneck though. Like this movie says like he's the great redneck hope or whatever, but like I never pegged him as like a redneck. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those where like in the 90s, that was just kind of like another bracket of calling somebody dumb is it's a stupid redneck.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah, so that's where I think it's stemming from because otherwise he's just a dingus. That's the whole character.
Yeah. And what's funny is like, people talk about Jim Carrey in the 90s and being this like rubber-faced man. Like I would put Jim Varney up against Jim Carrey. Like Jim Varney does some shit with his faces that are like that. Like he's so like, I wish I was as expressive with my face as Jim Varney can be. Like his control over his emotion and his face is wild. And you mentioned it, like there are some scenes in this movie where he's acting as other characters and he just like, it's like this dude just transforms. Yeah.
He's amazing. I don't know what to tell you. He's for the force.
Well, and that's the thing about, I think this movie is, again, like when you make a holiday movie, regardless of the holiday, you kind of enter yourself into the pantheon of, can this be a movie that is memorable enough to be rewatched year after year after year? Because those are holiday movies. I mean, you have a tradition with your family of watching this movie. I have traditions with my family watching certain Christmas movies, not Halloween movies per se, but like, again, like, and that comes from these movies coming out and trying to throw their hat into the ring of like a memorable holiday movie.
Right.
And I think this one is because it does check some boxes of like, a creature that's interesting, some interesting choices that are made in terms of, again, like the design and I don't think that the plot is as generic as maybe it seems, but I do think, again, like the movie takes some interesting steps with like certain things like kids being turned into wooden dolls, I think is interesting. Again, the usage of trolls is interesting. But yeah, I feel like in this day and age, like the classics are not from, I don't know, the classics aren't from the 90s, I guess. Like, I don't know though. Like the classic Halloween movies, there doesn't seem to be like a time and a place where they were all coming out. They seem to just be something that comes out from time to time.
Which makes sense. I mean, because in the 90s, it was a lot more, I think there was a lot more access to horror as like a preteen or a kid between Goosebumps as well as Are You Afraid of the Dark on TV. I think that the people who had access to cable were kind of more exposed to that. That and the Ernest movies, it's either you know them or you don't know them. Not a lot of people have gotten like that type of exposure to those movies. And it's not like they played it on TV for like Halloween. Like Hocus Pocus got a lot of airtime on TV, as well as like, what was it, Halloween Town and shit like that.
I love Halloween Town. I ain't complaining on that one.
Hey man, I accept it for what it is. It is a Halloween movie. It strikes those boxes. And I think a big one for me, especially in the 90s bracket, 80s, 90s on through for Halloween movies specifically, is it's also kind of a nostalgia rush. There's a lot, it just kind of has that feel to it. There's a lot of looks there that's very 90s. There's a lot of references there that is very 90s. And I don't know whether or not it'll necessarily hold up to like a kid crowd of this generation, but I think people kind of growing up and being exposed to other facets of this movie, like people who were checking out Eartha Kitt's history, or people who wanted to check out like horrifying moments in childhood that people will have nightmares about. I'm sure there are kids out there that were absolutely terrified by the troll children, because a few of them, like, I would not want to go toe to toe with. I always pick out like a couple of them where it's like, yeah, no, I would shit myself, cry, and just die. I would be bludgeoned to death by this troll.
Right.
That is easily outrun and maneuvered by the village idiot, but I will be in a ball cry.
I do like how you have to reinforce like these trolls are being clowned on by this ding dong of a human being.
So many like just straight up Three Stooges-esque chase scenes and shit like that, where it's like, get out, they are idiots. Like, and yet, as a kid, the one with the black hair and the really beady eyes that was dark, I think he got refurbished to be my favorite killer clown, Spiky, which would also terrify me and I would crumple into a ball. But it's a creepy design. I would hate it if that thing was running at me. Of course, this is coming from the person that actively does not go to haunted houses because I don't like the fact that I have to use my legs while being afraid. So.
It's fair. It's fair. No, I actually, I think it's funny you mentioned that. Like when I was doing the research, I saw like some articles about like this movie having had some moments that were similar to other things that are like the kids that saw this were like, holy shit, like this is, and Trantor the Troll is on that list. Like Trantor the Troll and everything that Trantor does is part of that, because Trantor is a very well-designed, scary monster for kids. Maybe not so much for adults, but definitely for kids.
Oh, yeah. And if nothing else, I think the transformation scene was extra gnarly. Like, I still think about how they did the wonderful effect with the glove, with the nails growing through, and you see like the skin kind of scoot down. It's really, it's gross. It's very visceral, and they were not afraid to use slime to make it extra gross. So,
yeah. Lots of slime and lots of snot in this movie, like a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, Trantor is a snotty troll, and it's gross. I mean, it's
two
gross.
Noses.
Yeah.
His transformation, he gets double noses, which is like my favorite feature. I love that. It's a heinous design, but I love it so much.
Yeah, he's really gross to look at as a character. Like, they did a very good job in making something that like I haven't seen in anything else. It's kind of its own thing. And
booger lips. Exactly.
Yeah. Jim Varney, like, he must have been a hoot in real life. Like, he really must have been like just the kindest person. You got it right. Like, he seems like he was probably like a nice guy in real life.
I mean, he refused to smoke around kids because he knew that they would know him from Ernest. So he just waited until he was in private to smoke a cigarette. Like,
And that guy was a lifelong smoker too. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, I mean,
50. That's
yeah, right. Yeah.
history.
Yeah, what a long life, dude. Like, yeah, that really sucks. Like, it sucks because I mean, really, that is kind of the thing that I walked away from this movie feeling, and I felt like I felt this the last time I watched. Is like Jim Varney was such a good actor. He was kind of wasted on this, wasn't he? Like,
Yeah, and he was a physical actor too.
yeah. Like, as much as I like this movie, as much as I think we both like this movie, and so many other people our age like this movie, like fucking Jim Varney was really way better than any of this stuff they ever put.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
But once again, you get typecast as a character, and that's it. It's kind of the Elvis effect, but he actually had talent. So
Right. Yeah. And well, and that's the other thing about someone like Jim Varney. It's like the guy was clearly a very good sport about it too. Because like you said, I mean, the smoking thing, which I had heard before. And then again, like you can tell when an actor genuinely doesn't like being around kids. And this guy had to be around kids his entire career. Most of these movies, he was opposite a child actor. And
because that's the comedy that I was kind of gearing toward, which stinks because it was so much more than that.
Yeah, and it could have been. And if it were made now, it would have been. Because again, I mean, that is the thing. Like some of the comedy in this movie feels very dated. Like there's some stuff, I would say a lot of the stuff doesn't feel dated, but there are certain things that definitely feel dated that are like, well, they wouldn't do this in the movie anymore. Not because it's like offensive or anything, but like we just don't do these kinds of storytelling techniques anymore because
shticks.
Yeah. And nobody is making these kinds of movies anymore. Like these like weird advertising campaign character. And I don't know if they ever did.
Very self-aware.
Yeah.
Very self-aware. Because then you get Jim and Bobby as the comedy team that they are doing their shtick. And that is definitely not something that like kids would relate to. But it's just that kind of weird, fast humor, back-to-back type of things where it's like, it's really weird. It's effective, but it's mostly to play up the characters and kind of reaffirm that they are just the salesmen that they are. They're after money only. And that was it. It's because they're reoccurring characters throughout these movies that they're here doing this. But I love it.
And that's weird too, because I remember that like there's an Ernest universe in all of this. Like the people, yeah, those guys show up multiple times, and like almost all of them. Because in Ernest Goes to Camp, aren't those two guys like the cooks in the kitchen, right?
You don't get Bobby, but you get Jim. Bobby goes to jail, but no, he was still in there for the eggs erroneous. Yeah,
a great line. That's a great scene. And he's 91 years old.
Sure.
The actor who plays Bobby is 91 years old.
It's wild.
Crazy. Well, it just, again, reinforces how unfortunate it is that Jim Varney is no longer here. Because I genuinely think, like, in the 2000s, once these kinds of things, like, because at some point in the early 2000s, everybody kind of agreed, like, kids' entertainment needs to be better than this. I think it was probably Shrek. That really helped, like, push it pushed the envelope for comedy in terms of like what kids could watch with adults in the same room. And the adults are also focusing on it. That's the thing. Like a lot of adults probably like noped out of this moment one when they saw Ernest going, which again, like it doesn't bother me that he was doing it, but I could see an adult totally like fucking rolling their eyes at it in the 90s when this movie came out. But my point being, like, again, the idea here is that mid 2000s, early 2000s, this would have stopped and Jim Varney would have gone on to something else. Like, 100% would have gone on to something else. Yeah, I mean, he's great in the Beverly Hillbillies, and I actually don't dislike that movie. He's great in that movie. Yeah. He is good in that movie. Agree. But yeah, it's just it's unfortunate because he really died right before he was going to do something else. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, agreed. And it also stinks just because I mean, I'm sure even at the time of release, the way that all of the Ernest movies are, it's not really aware of what its audience is, which is why there's like that kind of weird ambiguity of why it's not necessarily like a kid's movie or why it's not necessarily an adult's movie. It lies in a weird in-between state where it's just the comedy that you will get from an Ernest film, and that's kind of the time capsule that it is. It would have been interesting to see him expand his kind of repertoire because he was stuck in a weird limbo where by the time like the train started rolling where you get slam dunk Ernest and shit like that, it's past its prime and it doesn't necessarily have an age bracket that's appropriate for it. It's just kind of like a filler movie, which sucks. Because he still gives it his all. It's just, it just goes out into the ether and that's it.
Well, and I mean, again, Ernest Goes to Africa does not sound like just like who the fuck thought that was a guy? I haven't even seen it, but just the title alone. This, I feel like, I think best I can tell, this is like the last quality Ernest movie. Yeah.
Yeah, there's only the 4 titles that I really, really, really stand by. And I will say, honorary, Ernest Rides Again, terrible movie, but the intro theme song is absolutely stunning. It's a theme about Ernest P. Worrell. Chris, you'll have to listen to it. It is catchy as sin. It's amazing. But that's the only good part about that movie, period. It's Ernest Scared Stupid, goes to jail, goes to camp, and saves Christmas if you feel very seasonal. But those are the 4 that I will rewatch to this day. Everything else is kind of hard to watch.
Well, and those are the 4 that were released by Disney.
Oh, and Goes to School was okay. Very dumb. Very, 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 very dumb. But I think that's more of a nostalgia grab for me. But that's fair. If Disney had a hand in it, then that makes sense why they kind of pulled the reins in. And
made somewhat good movies. Again, like, even for as uneven as this movie is and how, yeah, it is, like, that is the thing that is strange. It's tonally bizarre. Like, it has no idea what tone it wants to be because, yeah, is the Ernest character for kids? Wouldn't kids at some point have, like, aged up with the Ernest character? Like, that's the question that I have. Is like, what would Ernest have looked like if he had come back in the mid 2000s or 10s like Pee Wee Herman did? Right. What would that have been? Like, would we have gotten an Ernest movie where it's like Ernest back at it or Ernest, back from the dead or something? That's what it would be. The movie would be everybody thinks that Ernest is dead. And he's like, I'm not dead. I just, I don't know. I fucked off to the middle of nowhere. And Ernest back from the dead. Yeah, yeah, just something like, and then Ernest back from the dead. Yeah, who knows? But like that, just something. I could have imagined Jim Varney doing
title.
Yeah, the title alone is pretty great. But like Ernest would have come back if Jim Varney had been alive. Like if Jim Varney had been alive in the 2000s or the 2010s or even now, because like he would have been, I guess, 80 right now, almost 80. I mean, 70, 72, 73. So, I mean, you know what? He seemed like he would have been game probably to do Ernest once or twice again before he called it quits. And again, if people were begging for him to do it, Netflix did it or something, because again, Netflix did it for Pee Wee fucking Herman. Like, I think Ernest is just as important a character in terms of lasting cultural importance because it's just a weird thing that took hold that hasn't really happened since. There's only one Ernest. Like, there are plenty of animated cartoon character icons that are the Peanut, M&M's, Tony the Tiger. Like, they've gotten, and you know why? Because they're not really characters. They're just vehicles to sell things. Like Ernest, I think, I mean, you and I watched a couple ads before we started and like, that was funny. That was actually a funny ad. Like it was funny on its own, which means that yes, there may have been a product, but if I can engage with you,
not the feature.
Right. If I can engage with you, like the product is fucking secondary here. And it's very obvious. Like, I don't even know what they were advertising in that ad. Like, what were they selling in that fucking ad? Like chocolate bunnies? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, but that's an Ernest ad for something. Like, and that's what's fucking insane is it almost feels like the Ernest movies are just the Ernest commercials. Like the real quality stuff is just go watch all the ads.
Yeah. And I love that they incorporate all the other characters that he was during these. Some of them were like Saturday morning bumpers before like cartoons or whatever. If I'm remembering correctly, or like before theaters, like the Your World as I Know It. It's just goofy shit like that. But I'm glad that in all of his movies, there is that kind of reflection of it where he's either playing back to back to back different characters just to have fun with this range. But those were all the characters that he would reprise in the commercials. It was fantastic to have that kind of nod. It's an interesting amalgamation for a character. Because, yeah, you end up getting Ernest as the core, but then you have, like, the old lady. You have the pilot. You have
Ernest as Genghis. Ernest as a member of the Ottoman Empire. Oh, he looks more like Genghis Khan, though. Like, I don't somehow it's like not offensive because it's the wrong thing, but it's somewhat offensive because it is kind of offensive to what it is. Like,
Black Swan and Lumberjack.
Well, there's something about Ernest that just like, again, like I mentioned, the Robin Williams connection, like he really does have that like frenetic energy when he's doing those things that make me think of like the best of, and again, some people didn't like that Robin Williams shtick either. Some people were probably turned off by the rapid fire, but like Ernest, that character doing those things feels very similar to like when when Robin Williams was doing his similar thing of like, like
just going through the Rolodex of everything that he could throw at the wall.
Stream of consciousness. Like, and honestly, again, like if Jim Varney had been able to exit trajectory, the Ernest character, who knows what would have come of it. But again, like the Ernest character, I think is a compelling character. And what's weird is, if you were to ask someone about Ernest, what would they say? Oh, that's shit. Or like, I've never heard of this. Like, is Ernest a widely reviled character or just the movies? Like certain movies reviled. Is that what it is?
It's interesting because the people that I have had conversations about Jim Varney and the Ernest series, they either A, do not know who that is, period.
Which I would believe 100% depending on the person.
Exactly. It's kind of a weird, like, almost locational exposure. It's like Gallardi. Some people know him, some people. It's if you grow up in an area where that's like your expenditure, there you go. But I either have people who don't know him or I get into an argument about how I want a tattoo of Ernest before my friend gets a tattoo of Ernest. But I haven't heard anybody like absolutely hate the guy. It's more of just an unknowing.
Well, and again, like I said, I mean, if you read some of the reviews at the time, like, like again, it seems like the people at the time had probably gotten sick of the joke, which I can also understand oversaturation, right? Especially if it's like a nationwide campaign of ads, like. That means people were seeing this guy all the time, which means there were probably people that were like, I'm sick and fucking tired of this fucking Ernest character and his friend Vern that we never see. Which, you know what? I would totally 100% understand if that's where you're coming from with Ernest because of the oversaturation of the character. Yeah, I would believe that 100%. However, that being said, I think the character of Ernest is a lot more of an interesting character than one might be led to believe by just looking at Jim Varney dressed up the character and say, like, tell me about this character and what he does. I think people will be like, oh, he kind of looks like a ding dong. Maybe he's funny because he's making funny faces. But I don't think it would be readily apparent what the character is doing. But given that he is a literal corporate shill, but made more of it than most people would have, like, I think that's where you have to give Jim Varney all the credit, is it wasn't just this soulless fucking thing that most other people would have treated completely soulless too.
Yeah, he took kind of an absurdist humor angle that honestly is very apparent in comedy now, where it's these absurd scenarios or these bizarre characters and just like a barrage of one-liners that are almost niche references.
Yeah, it's weird. Ernest is just this like weird thing that when I think about it, I go, I wonder what it would have been like in a day, an age where this was something you were seeing all the time. Like if people were very sick and fucking tired of it. But hey, I have an Ernest P. Worrell talking doll that sits up on my shelf up there, and I look at it from time to time. Like he was such a thing that they made a toy out of. He was such a thing that they made a bunch of movies. And, you know, again, like contemporary comparisons, there are some like, I guess, Angry Cat or Grumpy Cat, but Grumpy Cat wasn't selling any. Like what was Grumpy Cat selling other than Grumpy Cat merchandise? Ernest ended up having merchandise, but Ernest was the one selling Coke and Chex and Taco John's, and he was doing all this stuff.
Weird, random stuff, like a huge wide range of just items.
Yeah, like it was never just one thing. And again, when you do like over 900 ads, like, yeah, you're really not the guy who I think people are expecting to have a fun character behind it. But yet, again, that's what Jim Varney brings to it. And that's what this movie excels at. Because I think, again, if this had just been, I don't know, like I was going to ask you, like in terms of Halloween movies, this is clearly an answer that you would give if someone asked you, what's a good Halloween movie I should check out? But what makes a good Halloween movie? And is there another movie that you watch that you could use as an example to define it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, honestly, my parents have like a secured list of we watch these movies during Halloween. But I think another good answer, and it's probably not to say the better of the two, because this is one that I refuse to not watch, but The Addams Family is another biggie for watching around Halloween. I love that. We didn't own Hocus Pocus, otherwise I would understand why that is like people's go-to. But like Sleepy Hollow, like
it's a good one.
Movie stuff like that, it just kind of has the vibe, or it's one of those where it could just be ingrained in my head because it was released around Halloween to watch it around Halloween. But Addams Family is definitely up there. Obviously, John Carpenter's Halloween, I love. I never mind watching close to Halloween.
I watch that on Halloween once a year. That's the time of year that I give to that movie, and that's it. I like it, but
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I've seen it a million fucking times. Like, and
correct.
It's a good movie, but it has lost a lot of the luster because it's just a good movie at this point. It doesn't have that same feeling the first or second or third time I saw it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I am a fan of Halloween movies. I am, again, a fan of movies that are set at Halloween that aren't necessarily doing the horror thing as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, it kind of lends itself directly to it, given that it's the spooky season. So,
well, then what's your go-to, Chris?
I think, I mean, again, nobody has asked me yet, so I haven't been able to give an answer, but I mean, we talked about it. I think Halloween Town is mine. I watched that so many times, kid.
I feel it.
I don't know. Like, that's one of those movies where, like, I saw it a bunch as a kid. I didn't watch it for a very long time. And then in the last 4 or 5 years, I've watched it a lot, mainly when I was high. Jess and I did an episode on Lee.
Yep.
It was scary. No, I think it was this. I think it was Kulturecast. And I did an interview with Kimberly J. Brown like 3 years ago. I've never run it. Like, I don't know why. I think I did it for another movie, not Halloween Town. And then I was like, why didn't I just do it for fucking Halloween Town? Like, that's the movie. Like, that's the Kimberly J. Brown movie.
The obvious answer.
Right. But Halloween Town for me, I think is it. Like, is it a good movie? Again, like, it's a kid's movie. I guess better answer would be WNUF Halloween Special, which is not a kid's movie, but it is set at Halloween time. And it is a more of a vibe movie. And I've sent a couple of people towards the movie and I have heard them have less than positive things to say about it. Because it sets a mood and a vibe, and like it takes a while to get where it's going. And I'm not sure that if you're not on board with it, you're going to be willing to take the journey all the way to the end. Because I'm not saying I'm not satisfied by the ending of WNUF, but I could see other people not being satisfied by the end. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a bad person to ask because, again, like yourself, I watch horror movies throughout the year, so.
Yeah.
I just want to watch Halloween movies at Halloween time, so I don't necessarily want to just watch horror movies. I mean, this is the time of the year for horror movies and blah, 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 blah. But if you watch horror movies all year round, you can make it spooky season any day of the week if you just throw on a horror movie and turn off the lights.
Right.
But Halloween has a specific feeling, you know?
Yeah, it does. And I think that's why it's pretty big to kind of lean into the nostalgia factor. Like, what was great about growing up with Halloween and what you felt like roaming the streets with your freaking pillow sack full of candy.
Right.
It's just kind of fun. And I think that's when it needs to be played up.
And you could make the case that a movie like E.T. is a Halloween movie because part of it takes place at Halloween. And like you think about the Halloween scenes in that movie and kind of it taking that distilled idea of Halloween, of like the ideal Halloween of walking around and going to houses, which is not even a thing now, best I can tell, which is a shame, but I also completely understand. And I don't have kids. And if I did, I probably wouldn't let them go out by themselves because, you know, again, like it probably sounds more dangerous than it is. We all did it. We're fine. At least the ones of us that aren't fine. So, which is most of us. So that's the thing. Like, I don't know, like I'm with you. Like, I think a lot of any of like holiday movie remembrances are driven by nostalgia, and the quality of the movie is almost unimportant. But it has to be good enough to get its foot into the door. Like,
oh yeah,
I love Jingle All the Way. I know it's not a good movie, but I find it to be an endearing movie. And look, it's a weird ass movie with Schwarzenegger and a Christmas movie. Like we have that forever in this universe. We have a Schwarzenegger Christmas movie. And that is something no one can take away from us.
Exactly.
Right. And like, it's crazy because he would never do that now. And no one would even offer him that now. But there was a time and a place in cinema where people were like, a movie with Schwarzenegger at Christmas time? Yeah, this is a good idea. And
it just worked out.
Yeah. And I feel the same way about that movie that I do about Ernest Scared Stupid, which is there was a time and place in this country, in our pop culture kind of shared tapestry where people were like, I'm going to watch a movie with this ad icon fighting a troll. And it is way better than it has any right to be. Again, frankly, like I think would both agree, it is a Halloween classic. And if you don't agree, it's probably because you haven't watched it and you're making an opinion based on what you think the Ernest character is. I'm not saying it's a good movie, but I'm saying it is a good Halloween film, which is a kind of thing, just like there are good Christmas movies that aren't necessarily great movies. And again, the nostalgia-ness of holidays glosses over a lot, but I think the holidays are the one time we're kind of allowed to be nostalgic collectively, and nobody is like, you're being fucking nostalgic for Ghostbusters. It's like, but nobody calls you for being nostalgic for Rankin and Bass's Rudolph. Like,
right. Calm your buttholes. Let's enjoy shit.
And that's the thing, ultimately. Like, again, I think you have a movie here that, again, will turn off people because it is not something that really vibes with today's like comedic space. But the nostalgia factor, if you're into 90s movies and especially 90s Halloween movies, this is I think this is as important an entry as Hocus Pocus or Halloween Town. So
I stand by it. It has some really good moments, some really funny lines. And it's honestly, if you don't want to watch the whole movie, I would highly recommend going on YouTube and at least watching the intro to this movie. It is a wonderful montage.
It's a mug fest. It's a Jim Varney mug fest is what it is.
It's Jim Varney mugging and then like the best Clip Notes versions of creature features in the early cinema age. And with a fun theme. I like the theme song to this movie.
Yes, I will agree with you there. The theme song to this movie is seared into my brain.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's perfect for evoking exactly what it wants to evoke.
Yeah, spooky, fun.
A little kooky. It's a little kooky as well. Like, that's I don't know. That's I think a perfect way to describe this movie. Is it's fun. It's kind of weird. And it's funny. I think there's plenty of funny, like, again, it's not just kids. I don't even think there's funny stuff with the kids. I think all the funny stuff is Ernest just being this fucking wild human being.
Right. The kids did their best. They are not the highlight of the film, however, which stinks, but it was still fine. They gave it their all. I think there was only like maybe 2 kids where I'm like, oh, die already. But
yeah, I mean, again, when you have kids in a movie, it signals it's a kid's movie.
You take what you take, man.
Yeah. I don't think that this is a kid's movie the way I think it was probably received when it came out either. I mean,
Fair.
again, the Ernest character, I mean, again, I understand why he's being angled for kids, but there is some weird optics of this adult hanging out with children, which is like, again, like, and the parents say it, they're like, you shouldn't be hanging around with that weirdo Ernest. And it's like, yeah, the optics of this in 2023 are, this is a weird man hanging out with children, a weird single man with a dog.
Really has some mental stuff going for it. It's like
this is a character that in 2023 would be beyond problematic just by what he is doing, not by what he is saying or anything else. It's just, he chooses to hang out with children and go on adventures with them. Like, yeah, it feels quaint and it feels like a different time and place that they were like, oh, this is just a thing that nobody's going to question. It's like, okay, people in the future may have a problem with this. But again, if you can get around that kind of weird conceit in this movie, I think this movie's fine. It's fun.
Yeah. I was about to say, it's not like he's doing weird shit. He's just being Jim Varney.
Right.
So for the most part, I can at least be like, but yeah,
the optics of it, like,
it's a hard sell. It's a hard
yeah, in this day and age, especially. So yeah. So Maggie, final thoughts on Ernest Scared Stupid?
I mean, I'm looking forward to watching it again and again and
Is that crazy that you'll like watch it probably every year for the foreseeable future? Like to just think about that. Like,
I often think of like if and when I hit an elderly age and inevitably get dementia, like this will probably be one of the few things that I remember. Period. Or if somebody says, "Boy, I hope you're from Keebler," I will immediately know what that is, while not knowing who my children is.
That is one of the great lines in the.
Dude, there's so many between that and its fifth level Mario Brothers. I feel that in my soul.
Yeah, Jim Varney's line delivery is just the aplomb with which this man was working in a children's movie is just, you gotta appreciate a guy who just is like, I don't give a shit what this is. I'm going to turn in a performance. Like, go for it. Yeah, these, like I said, I think my biggest takeaway is these movies did not deserve Jim Varney's talents because he was just operating on a different wavelength. And yeah, I mean, I would suggest everybody that is into Halloween movies and looking for something more Halloween and less horror to check this out. It's not a horror movie, but it does have horror elements. And you know what? Yeah, would little kids find it scary? Yeah, and maybe this is a movie that you can show your kids and bond over and, again, get them interested in horror because, again, there are points in this movie that do and can be scary for kids. Yeah, I love this movie. I love this character. I'm probably just going to spend the rest of the evening editing episodes and watching Jim Varney clips. So,
yes,
right. Perfect. Jim Varney on the background for 8 hours. Just God, there's gotta be. As God knows how many fucking hours of content of him just yakking it up as Ernest for all these ads selling chicken tenders and diapers and freaking God knows
powerhouse, man.
Yeah,
it's a powerhouse.
Yeah, but hey, you know what? Until the next time, cover an Ernest movie, which I don't know even. Maybe next year we'll do Ernest Saves Christmas. Honest to God, like I've never seen that one. So
fair enough. That one's pretty decent.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I have. I think Christmas is the only one I haven't seen of the original four. Jail is the one where he plays two characters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that one's but that one is more the most adult one of like all of them.
Once again, it was an ambiguous target audience. They just really wanted to make a film with this character, and they fucking did it. And I love it.
But he's in jail. So, like, not necessarily like the best setting for like a kid's film.
Jury duty. Yeah, it's centered around Ernest goes to jury duty. And then all of this unravels.
Yeah, it's I think Ernest Goes to Jail is probably my favorite.
It's a solid one. It is definitely... It's either neck and neck with Scared Stupid or a dangerously close second. It is probably the best out of the series.
Yeah, it's the least seasonally themed, and it's the funniest. The most just like straightforward funny. Yeah, maybe in the future we could do Ernest Goes to Jail. I think that would be fun. Ernest deserves Jim. I mean, we'd probably just be like this episode. This was a good movie, and you should watch it, even though it's probably not a great movie, and we're being nostalgic. Fuck it, I don't care.
I'm still gonna die on that hill.
Yeah, I'm with you. So on that note, we'll take a break and we'll play a preview for the next Kulturecast. I don't know what. I don't know what. Oh, okay, that's right. No, I already ran the episode, so I can't do that. Oh, I fucked this up too. Oh, God damn it. That's right. On the next episode of the Kulturecast, we're going to be talking about No One Will Save You, which is a new horror movie that just came out. And I will be joined for the first time by Disconnected's Ryan Verrill to talk about a movie that I'll say right now, if you haven't seen it, watch it before the episode comes out because we have a lot to say and it's a weird movie. Until then, Maggie, where can people find you and the things that you're working on?
I will be under a rock. But you can see my artwork and ramblings and sometimes drag on my Instagram, Dolan Museum.
You can hear Maggie from time to time on Scary Stories We Tell. We're still... Lost Tapes is almost done. I've been like doing that for like 3 years now is what it feels like.
It feels like I have phantom limb now that is done.
Lost Tapes. I thought we were done with that. Yeah, but the episodes are still going, so they're not done with it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. As for me, weirdingwaymedia.com, Scary Stories We Tell is one of the shows that I do. Maggie shows up from time to time and we talk about found footage TV shows from the mid 2000s. And then, all sorts of other weirdo audio things over at weirdingwaymedia.com, including plenty of things that I don't work on that are fantastic in their own right? Like Twisted and Uncorked and The Projection Booth and Feminine Critique and 80s TV Ladies and Noise Junkies. And I could go on, but you should just go on over to weirdingwaymedia.com. As for me, you can find me here. There you go. Maggie, thank you so much for joining me.
Anytime.
Yeah, it's been a couple months, so we'll get that distance down a little bit. But this was fun. I'm glad you were just like, you ever done Ernest Scared Stupid? And I was like, no. And you were like, well, you didn't even respond beyond that. I was just like, let's do that. And then it was like, I hope we're here. Yeah.
No,
and then we're here. Yeah. So
I think I saw that. I'm like, good.
Yeah, good. Fucking A. Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, as always, we'll catch you on the next episode.